After I donated a kidney to my sister, she stopped speaking to me. When I finally visited her, she said, "You did it for attention, not for me." Her husband added, "She's moved on." I said nothing until I released the audio of her crying the night before the surgery, begging me not to let her die and promising. I'm the kind of person who doesn't ask for much. I've always been like that. I'm not flashy, not loud. I keep to myself. But when someone I love needs help, I show up. My sister, Erin, was diagnosed with kidney failure a little over 2 years ago. It started with fatigue and swelling, and by the time she finally saw a nephrologist, her kidneys were already shot. She was 38. I remember our mom calling me late at night, her voice shaking, saying, "They don't think she has much time unless she gets a transplant." Erin and I aren't best friends. We never were. Growing up in Erie, we had our differences. She was the golden child. I was the quiet one. She was loud, outgoing, always had friends around. I was more of a background person, but we weren't enemies. We just led different lives. When she moved to Columbus and got married, we drifted further apart. But when I found out she was dying, none of that mattered. I live in Pittsburgh. I work at a machine shop and live in a modest one-bedroom apartment. I don't have kids. I'm not married. So when I asked the doctors if I could get tested to be her donor, I didn't even tell her at first. I just did it. I didn't want her to feel pressure. I wanted it to be my decision. I was a match. A perfect one. I called her and told her, and she went quiet. Then she said, "You don't have to do this." "I know I don't," I said, "but I want to." She didn't say much after that. For weeks she avoided talking about it. But the night before the surgery, when I was already in Columbus, staying in a motel near the hospital, my phone rang around midnight. It was her. I'll never forget her voice. She was crying so hard I could barely understand her at first. She said, "I don't want to die. Please don't let me die. I don't want to leave Brad. I don't want to leave my life. I'm scared." I didn't know what to say, so I just sat there and listened. She said things like, "You don't know how much this means to me," and "I'll never forget this." At some point, I hit record. Not because I wanted proof, but because it felt like we were finally being real with each other. I wanted to remember that we had this moment. The surgery went well. They took my left kidney. The pain afterward was worse than I expected. I couldn't sleep, could barely walk, but I kept telling myself it was worth it. Erin was alive. She was healing. That's all that mattered. For the first week or so, she texted me a few times. Short stuff. "Thanks again. Feeling a little better today." Then it just stopped. I waited, gave her space. Assumed she was dealing with recovery and adjusting to her new meds. But when I texted her a month later and got no reply, I started to worry. I called. No answer. Tried again 2 days later. Straight to voicemail. I sent her a message saying, "Just checking in. Hope you're okay. Let me know if you need anything." Nothing. 2 months passed. Then 3. Then 6. I asked her mom what was going on. She looked uncomfortable. Said Erin was just going through some emotional stuff. That I should give her time. So I did. When her birthday came around that October, I sent her a card. Handwritten. Included a $50 gift card to her favorite coffee place. I never heard a word back. I won't lie, it hurt. I started wondering if I'd done something wrong. Maybe I had expectations I shouldn't have. I didn't want a parade, but I thought we'd be closer. I thought nearly dying and saving someone's life would mean something. By the 1-year mark, I was angry. Not just hurt, angry. Not because I wanted attention, but because I had gone through something permanent, something painful, for someone who now pretended I didn't exist. So I drove to Columbus. I didn't call ahead. I didn't want to give her a chance to lie or make excuses. I wanted to see her face. She answered the door. She looked healthy, better than I'd seen her in years. But her face went cold the second she saw me. No hug, no smile. Just like I was a problem she forgot she had. Her husband Brad stepped in like a guard dog. I never liked him much, but I always kept quiet for her sake. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "I came to talk to my sister," I said. "She's moved on," he said. "Moved on from what?" I asked. Then Erin spoke. She looked me in the eye and said, "You didn't do this for me. You did it for attention." I swear to God, I felt like someone punched me in the chest. I didn't speak. I couldn't. Brad added, "We don't owe you anything." That was it. I turned around, got in my car, drove 5 hours back to Pittsburgh in silence. But that recording from the night before the surgery? I still had it. And eventually, I decided to let the truth speak for itself. I didn't release the audio right away. I thought about it for weeks. Every day, I'd wake up and tell myself to let it go. That maybe Erin was going through something I didn't understand. That maybe it wasn't personal. But that voice in my head, her voice from the doorway, "You did it for attention," kept echoing. It wouldn't stop. It was like every time I tried to move on, I heard those words again. I started seeing a therapist. I needed someone to talk to. One day, during a session, I brought up the recording. My therapist said, "Why are you holding on to it?" "I don't know," I said. "Maybe I just want someone else to know I'm not crazy. That it happened. That she begged me. That it mattered." That night, I sat on my bed, opened my laptop, and played the file again. Her voice was raw, scared, desperate. It was proof that I wasn't imagining the bond we had that night. That I wasn't just some attention seeker looking for credit. I saved the file with a new name, "Don't Forget." 2 days later, I sent it anonymously. No text, no comment. Just the audio file. Emailed to my mom, my Aunt Denise, 2 of Erin's old friends from high school, and her church's women's group leader. I knew they'd recognize her voice. I knew they'd listen. Within 48 hours, things started happening. My mom called me in tears. She said, "Why would she say that to you? Why would she turn on you after everything?" I didn't have an answer. Then Denise called. She said, "I forwarded that to your uncle. He's furious. Said Erin's lucky to be alive and acting like she's owed something." I hadn't spoken to Erin in months. But suddenly I was getting messages from old family friends saying they were sorry, that they didn't know what was going on, but they were behind me. Then I got a call from Brad. I didn't answer, so he left a voicemail. "You need to stop. This is private. You're trying to humiliate her. It's disgusting." That word, disgusting, hit me harder than I expected. I sat there staring at my phone, shaking. The next morning, someone posted in Erin's church Facebook group. It was just a vague message about betrayal and ungratefulness, but I knew it was aimed at her. I didn't comment. I didn't respond. But more people started reaching out. And then I got the letter. A cease and desist. From a lawyer. On behalf of Erin and Brad. Saying I was defaming her and invading her privacy. Demanding I retract the audio and stop spreading false narratives. That's when it all shifted. Because now it wasn't just about pain. Now it was about control. Now they were trying to silence me. They wanted me to pretend none of it happened. But I wasn't going to disappear. And I hadn't even started telling the whole truth. When I got that cease and desist letter, my hands were trembling. I'd never been involved in anything legal before. I read it 3 times, every word. They accused me of public defamation, emotional manipulation, and violation of medical privacy. I almost threw up. But then I looked at the last paragraph. It said if I didn't respond within 10 days, they'd consider further legal action. That word, consider, stuck with me. It meant they were bluffing, or at least trying to scare me into silence. So I did what they didn't expect. I hired a lawyer. Not some big-shot downtown guy. Just a modest attorney named Lisa who handled family disputes and estate stuff. I brought her everything. The letter, the audio, the timeline, the texts before and after the surgery. I told her everything. She listened, took notes, then said, "This isn't defamation. This is someone trying to bury guilt." She wrote back to their lawyer. Said we wouldn't take anything down. That we had evidence, and we were prepared to show Erin's own words if needed. She ended it with, "We hope your client finds peace, but my client will not be intimidated." I felt something in me shift after that. Like I'd finally stood up straight after being hunched over for a year. And then, this part still stuns me. Someone from the hospital contacted me. A woman named Clara, a nurse who was on Erin's transplant team, reached out privately. She said, "I can't say much, but I just want you to know you weren't the only one she pushed away after the surgery." I asked what she meant. She didn't go into detail, but she said Erin had gotten into a confrontation with hospital staff, made a formal complaint against a nurse, and had been verbally abusive during her follow-ups. She told me, sometimes people who survive something traumatic can't handle the guilt, so they destroy whatever reminds them of it. I sat with that for a long time. I wasn't sure if it made me feel better or worse. And then the final twist. I found out Erin had told people, mutual friends, even some of our family, that I forced the donation. That I insisted on it, even after she told me not to. I was stunned. That's when it hit me. She wasn't just trying to forget the donation. She was rewriting the story, making herself the victim of me. That changed everything. After I found out Erin had told people I forced her into taking my kidney, I realized just how far she was willing to go to erase what happened. That night, I stayed up late, listening to that recording again. The one where she cried and begged me not to let her die. The one where she said she'd never forget. She forgot. I didn't. I spent the next few days pulling everything together. Not out of spite, but out of survival. If I didn't defend myself, no one else would. I wasn't about to let her rewrite history and make me the villain. I wrote out a full timeline. From the day she got diagnosed to the day I showed up at her house. I attached screenshots of our texts, doctor appointment notices, even my travel receipts to Columbus. Then I uploaded the audio recording to a private Google Drive. I didn't post it publicly. I'm not that kind of person, but I gave access to a few important people. Our mom, our Aunt Denise, her pastor, and most importantly, 2 local reporters. Erin had been giving interviews at her church and to a local health magazine about overcoming a traumatic transplant experience. She never named me, but she made it sound like someone in her life had forced her to go through it. That someone was clearly me. So I contacted the reporters. I didn't pitch a story. I just gave them facts. I told them I didn't want attention. I just wanted the truth on record. One of them replied within hours. She said, "This changes everything." A week later, the article dropped. It wasn't a hit piece. It was clean, factual, and neutral. But it told the full story, quotes from me, from the recording, from the legal letter Erin's lawyer sent me, and even a quote from a source at the hospital, likely Clara. The title was simple. Donor Speaks. The story behind a sister's silence. It spread fast. Faster than I expected. Suddenly, the comments turned. People in Erin's church, her friends, even her coworkers started questioning her story. Some messaged me privately to apologize. Others said they felt tricked by her. A week after that, I got another letter from her lawyer. This one was very different. It said Erin wished to resolve the matter privately and would appreciate no further contact or publication. I didn't reply. I didn't need to, because by then, people saw her clearly. She lost her job 2 months later. Turns out her employer didn't like the fact that she'd lied in a public interview about a major medical story. Trust matters when you work in HR. Her church quietly removed her from their website. Her reputation was fractured. And me? I didn't feel proud. I felt tired. But I also felt clean. A few months later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Just a small envelope with my name on it. Inside was a handwritten note. All it said was, "I don't know why I did what I did. I can't fix it. I don't expect forgiveness. But thank you for saving my life." Erin, that was the first real thing she'd said to me in almost 2 years. I didn't write back. I didn't need to. She knew. And now, so did everyone else.